tell CNN President Trump and his top advisors are quietly preparing a trip to South Korea next month for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Gathering. It is seen as a key opportunity for Trump to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Let's bring in CNN White House reporter Elena Treen. Elena, this is your new reporting. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, there had been questions of when and if President Donald Trump would meet with China's president. And now we are learning, and this is according to my conversations with 3 Trump administration officials, that the president is preparing to go to South Korea next month for this APEC summit, and that the White House is viewing this as a key opportunity for him to sit down face to face with the Chinese leader. I'm told that there have been serious conversations around setting up a bilateral meeting between the two on the sidelines of APEC. I should note that the details are not yet finalized and such a meeting is not yet confirmed, but that is a big part of what is going into this trip, Jessica. And I'm also told that this expected visit, again, details are still being finalized. It's unclear if he's going to add more stops on his trip to South Korea. But they also see it as a key opportunity for a couple other things. One is economic collaboration. We know that has been a huge focus of the president on other trips. For example, when he went to the Middle East, he wants to secure more investments from foreign countries in the United States. But one official told me other topics of discussion that they're really focused on include trade, defense, and civil nuclear cooperation. Now, one thing that's also very interesting about all of this is it could also provide the president potentially an opportunity to sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This actually came up when South Korea's president visited the White House this past week and essentially said that, one, he wanted President Donald Trump to help better relationships with North Korea. He invited President Donald Trump to this APEC summit in South Korea. And then he also said that could be a great place for you to try and meet with face-to-face Kim Jong-un. Now, I will again caution you that according to my sources, they say the possibility of that kind of meeting, if Kim is even attending, all of that is still a question, and they're more focused on a potential meeting with Xi Jinping. But again, could be a good opportunity for Trump to sit down once again with that leader as well. All of this coming, though, at a tenuous time in the president's relationship with both Xi and Kim. We know that just this past week, China had this major military parade, something the president was quick to criticize on social media. At one point, he said that essentially he believed that, the Russian president who was there, North Korea, India, all of them were conspiring against the United States. Kind of a far cry from the rhetoric we often hear from the president when he talks about having a great relationship with all of them. But all to say, this would be the first meeting between President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping if it were to happen in South Korea. A lot of details still being worked out, but again, a very good opportunity for this White House as well as China.
Yeah, this is big. This is certainly big breaking news. Elena Treen, thank you. And I also do want to ask you, before I let you go, about RFK Jr. Obviously, he testified on Capitol Hill this week, and now we have Trump's own former Surgeon General calling on the president to fire Kennedy. What are you hearing about that?
This was a fascinating interview our colleague Victor Blackwell did, Jessica, with Jerome Adams. Again, he, as you mentioned, he was the Surgeon General for the president during his first administration. And he essentially said, our colleague Victor asked him, do you think Trump should fire Kennedy? And he said, yes. He said, I absolutely believe that he should for the sake of the nation. Listen to how he put it.
I'm deeply concerned about the health and safety of our nation under RFK's current leadership. I absolutely believe he is uniquely damaging the credibility of federal agencies like the CDC, NIH, FDA, and he's putting us at risk.
Now, Jessica, of course, there is some important context here. You mentioned that really combative hearing. We know a lot of prominent Republicans are growing weary of Kennedy's tenure atop HHS. But as of now, President Donald Trump is not one of them. We heard him this week offer a full-throated support of Kennedy. He was asked about this at a dinner, and he essentially said, I think he did well in the hearing. He noted he didn't watch it, but said that he likes that Kennedy has different policies when it comes to HHS. Of course, a lot of the policies that are being scrutinized right now are his policies on vaccines. Specifically, the firing of the CDC director less than a month that she was confirmed to her role.
All right, Alana Treen, thank you so much. Amazing reporting all throughout the evening. Thank you so much. We are joined by CNN senior political analyst Ron Brownstein. Ron, good to see you. Let's go back. Yeah, hi. Let's go back to what we were just talking to Alana about first. Her breaking news that President Trump is preparing to travel to South Korea. Of course, this is coming on the heels of this immigration raid on the Hyundai manufacturing plant, where 475 people were arrested, most of them South Koreans. This visit will focus on trade, but kind of put all of these pieces together for us.
Yeah, well, look, I think South Korea, like many of our allies in Europe, are more looking for ways to manage conflict with Trump than to engage in confrontation with him. So I'm not sure how hard they push back. I think the real significance here is, this discussion of him going to South Korea and meeting with Xi follows the very successful meeting that Xi has engineered with a series of large nations that Trump has alienated or are kind of gathering in resistance to his kind of vision. When Trump came in, I think it was pretty clear he envisioned a kind of return to almost a 19th century sort of sphere of influence, global politics in which strong men around the world, in Russia, in China, maybe Saudi Arabia and Israel, and him would basically govern world events. The other parties in that have not behaved the way that Trump expected. I mean, Xi has not made the concessions on trade that he wanted, and obviously Putin has frustrated and somewhat embarrassed him by his dismissing of Trump's efforts to end the war in Ukraine. And so, we'll see, whether this meeting, if it occurs, can change that. But I think his vision has mostly kind of run aground against the realities of other big, powerful nations pursuing their own interests in a way that have left them cool to his advances.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The big takeaway here is that the president may be sitting down with Xi after all these questions around will they meet, will they not meet, how will they meet, and then the timing of this comes after China hosted Putin and Kim Jong-un and had the big military parade.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, I think Trump's vision was very clear. It was kind of a 19th century vision of how the world should be governed by kind of strong men leaders that have spheres of influence and are essentially given a lot of deference within those spheres. Wanted the U.S. to kind of get the best deal he could in that world. But the other parties are not really responding as he expected. I mean, he talked about ending the war in Ukraine on day one. The Anchorage summit, what really looks just like it's hard to see what he got out of that other than allowing, an indicted war criminal to step onto U.S. soil. So, and then, with Xi, obviously the tariff struggle with China, goes on. So I think maybe he's looking for a reset, but I think the stubbornness, the inability to move these other nations is kind of a key takeaway of his first few months.